what's up, comic and schlop culture France? This is James with Midhunter Comics. And oh no, the market's so down, it's a 1996 all over again. Only it's not. And to be honest with you guys, I set out to make a research video comparing everything going on with this market to that of the 90s. And what I found was that it really isn't the same. It's not nearly as bad. So I thought it was going to be a super clickbaity negative video, and instead it's actually taken a much more positive turn than I would have expected. Before I forget, let's do a giveaway for this video only. Make sure you're subscribed, like the video, comment down below. I'm going to choose a winner to get this first full appearance of the Midnight Suns, Ghost Rider Volume 2, Issue 31. I'm going to give you guys the 20-second rundown on what happened in the 90s that everyone likes to compare our situation to.
3, 2, 1, go!
In the 90s, they brought in the absolute best talent. They revamped so many series starting at number 1. You got the emergence of variants, gimmicks such as foils and glow-in-the-dark covers and more, ashcan editions, and copies that you have to have a copy of Wizard magazine in order to get. And it was all a response to people finding actual valuable Silver and Golden Age back when they didn't care about overprinting stuff. And that's the ticket right there, overprinted. All the popular runs in the 90s had 1 million, sometimes even more print counts on a monthly basis. And what you had is everyone would buy up Death of Superman, and ooh, it already came polybagged, even more catering to people's desire to have it pristine. Buy one as a reader and keep a couple. And the problem is, everybody did this, and pretty soon people realized that it wasn't going to be commanding that value that they had all hoped for, and thus the market absolutely exploded. It's a little more complicated than that, and that Marvel management around that same time was making really bad investments, but that's the general gist. People plugged their money into stuff that had millions of copies available, and 2/3 of comic book shops actually closed their doors when they realized that the stuff wasn't actually valuable. And that brings us to where we are today. Now, some of what I just mentioned might sound a little bit similar to what we got going on today, but I'm here to tell you why it's actually vastly different. There are some big indicators that show why this down market is nowhere near as bad as 96, man. For one thing, and the immediately most notable thing, is even the most popular comic book right now maybe has 100,000 copies printed instead of 1.5 million. It's drawing from a much smaller bucket of fans. So you're not going to get books with millions of copies out there. When you have an actual measurable portion of America all putting their money all into the same books that were just released, it's no surprise that there was a bubble burst. These days, the majority of comic book readers do their weekly pickups, and it's not so much from that speculation perspective, although it definitely exists. The similarities are there. The gimmicky moves made by big publishers to get people to buy things like restarting volumes so you can have more issue number 1s, variants, ashcans, this and that. That stuff for sure does exist, but are there millions of copies of it? No. Are people still falling for various variants? Absolutely, but most of the time the variants are used more to support artists in the industry. All the variant hunters that I know, for example, Scotty Young collectors, want it because they like the look of the Scotty Young variants. They're not collecting it to hopefully make a payday on it. They're collecting it because they're Art Germ fans, or Peach Momoko fans, or Adam Hughes. One of the other things that really differentiates us from that time period is the immediate access to so much information. It's harder to get screwed by a naughty comic book shop or a naughty convention seller if you can pop on eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, Garage Sale Finder, whatnot, Shortboxed, local shops, a flea market, yard sales, millions of comic book pricing guides that exist to find that, hey, that's way the wrong price and I'm going to be able to walk away. Don't get me wrong, you can definitely still go and spend more than the book's fair market value, but what I'm saying is you have more availability of choice. And that protects the buyer. And if the buyer is well protected and has tons of competition, simple economics, not only is that price going to be kept at a reasonable value, but it prevents it from doing any sort of implosion. Just look at 2020-21. The market has corrected back. And that's the thing. There's a massive difference between market correction, which is what we're seeing now, and a market implosion. Market implosion is basically when it's realized that there was no value at all and everything dropped. Market correction is prices going back to where they were in 2019 and 18. Big frickin' difference, man. That whole COVID boom never had any business with prices being that high anyway. It was mainly artificially pegged up because of stimulus checks, let's be honest. So everything's basically back to normal. It just seems ridiculous just because of how high prices were a couple years ago. There are books like Eternal and Carnage and some others that have actually gone lower value than what I even remember from 2018. That's why we say the market is down, because it is down. It's just not catastrophic like it was in the 90s. So things are not printed to death, and there's a lot of knowledge out there to make sure you're getting competitive prices. What's the third difference? What do you see now? Everywhere you look, everywhere you go to the theater, you see our favorite comic book characters' faces plastered all over the silver screen. That's right, all these IPs and characters we love have solidified their existence in the ether of entertainment. Yeah, in the 90s you had Blade and a couple other oddball movies got made here and there, but now pretty much everything is getting its movie or show or spin-off, and the result is it protects not only the rights of that character, but the collectability as well. It's funny, comic book sales are so significantly down from what they were in the 90s, but comic book knowledge and an everyday fan of those characters is way up. Would the market have collapsed in the 90s if there was so many movie projects? I still think it could have, just by how many people did not have access to knowledge that buying up this brand new stuff wasn't going to pay your bills. But it might have helped. It's impossible to say, really. The point is, next time you hear someone comparing a down-corrected market to that of the nonsense that happened in the 90s, send them this link. By the way, even I have spoken in hyperbole, and I've done it myself. Sometimes people, especially on YouTube, like to shout doom and gloom, and it's just not similar at all. And to be honest, there's quite a positive silver lining to this down market in that it's a great time to be a buyer. Yes, these are the lowest prices I've seen on many books in years. It is a good time to be a buyer. Not the best time to be a seller. Trust me on that one. A lot of us missed that ship. Should have been selling in 2020 and 21. I picked up some really high-end Green Lantern slabs, which there's just no way that would have been affordable even 5 years ago before the boom. So enjoy the market correction, but just know it ain't the same as the 1996 failure. These IPs have been cemented and protected. There's not millions of them floating around oversaturating the market. And frankly, we've just got the full force of the internet that protects and lets us know when we're getting a bad deal. So again, I set out to make a comparison video, and in the research, I found how wrong I was, and I'm very glad for it. I'll see you guys at the next video, and keep on hunting. Make sure to come down to Sentiment Depot Antiques and Collectibles, where I'm set up with all of my comics, located at 238 West Delaware Ave, Pennington, New Jersey. Open every day except for Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy 10% off from Wednesday to Friday. See you there.